Hi, I'm Chanel Simmons. I am the founder and CEO of Nell Tax and Financial Solutions. And one of the number one questions I always get from small and mid-sized business owners is, what do I need in order to get my taxes together, to get my financial life together? Uh, so first and foremost, what you always need in everything: documents, documents, documents. Now, it doesn't have to be physical paper, but what you do need is you need to be able to support your numbers. If you sold 10 products, can you prove that you sold 10 products? Where is that recorded? It doesn't have to be perfect. In an ideal world, you would have invoices, you would have everything going to one account, even if it was coming in multiple ways, like the PayPal, the credit card processor, the Square, all of it would be depositing all into one big business account. That's the ideal world. But, life is messy. And a lot of times people who ask this very question, everything is everywhere. It's Cash App, it's physical cash. It's a credit card. It's literally everywhere. And therefore you're trying to just figure out how to make sense of it. At the end of the day, if I said I made, let's say, 50,000, 100,000, $1 million that year, I need to be able to support that. And usually the way that we support that is with our documentation or the record trail, because now people don't usually deal in paper anymore. But if you have receipts, if you have transactional history, email, whatever the information is, you need to be able to support those numbers. And that's the same thing for all of your expenses and your deductions. Can you support what you claim happened during the year? If you actually have the information. If you don't, and this is where it gets really nasty when it comes to taxes, if you don't have it, as far as the IRS is concerned, it didn't happen. That's Internal Revenue Code 6001. You can write that down. 6001. You don't get a deduction unless you can support what you are deducting, first and foremost. Then it needs to be what they call ordinary or necessary, or for the production of income. So those are two different tax codes going right there. But it needs to be ordinary and necessary to the operations of your business. And it needs to be for the production of income. Now, there's some items where Cohan's rule come into play. And what that means is it's basically saying that in order for you to have a business, and if you made money, you had some expenses. Like, in order to make money, you have to spend money. So there had to be something there. So we can't say you made all this money and had like very little expenses, unless you are running like the most efficient business of all time. So that's where the Cohan rule come into play. But that only takes you but so far. You still need to be able to support your deductions, support your expenses. So my answer to the number one question about getting your financial life together is you need to have a better record system. And if you don't have one, you really need to figure out what it is that you can manage. And if you're unable to manage it yourself, you really need to figure out what your financial team is going to look like. We're in a new decade and a new year. So you might want to sit down and truly budget. Should I get a bookkeeper? Should I get an accountant? Do I need to get better software to maybe better automate my process, like to get a better automation with my processes? You really need to figure out what it's going to look like if you're unable to keep up with it yourself. Because otherwise, if you can't prove it, it didn't happen. Okay? So that's my tip to the number one question I get all the time about how to get my financial life together for small business owners. Take care. Bye.